And welcome back to the channel. Mr. Acolyte here, coming at you with another patch note video. This time it is for the mini season 4 cleanup patch, correction patch. I don't know what they're calling this, but this is basically the patch in response to season 4, which most of the community was not happy with. In case you missed it or you just weren't aware, in the patch of Season 4 for Guilty Gear, the idea was to turn the game into an overall more balanced game with more interactions per match and less explosive damage. That is definitely not what we got, and people voiced their concerns very loudly, and because of that, we're getting this second patch that's going to be coming out on December 23rd, right before Christmas. So these notes here are going to tell us what is in line with what's coming on that. So I have not looked at this yet. This is going to be my first reaction. Let's go ahead and check this out. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into the important stuff here. Overall adjustment direction. Here we go again. We are mainly focusing on adjustments on elements that diverge from our intentions. And yes, the community felt that most of the changes diverge from the intention that they set forward. Again, the intention being to make matches longer and have overall more interactions per match. That was not happening, so let's see. Universal adjustment to damage. I kind of said that before. In the prior update, we increased overall defensive values with the intention of increasing the number of interactions throughout the match. However, increasing the damage dealt by some characters as well as the addition of new combos resulted in a state where matches did not reflect this. That is 100% true. Somehow, even though they increased everybody's health, for the most part, damage was overall higher than it was in Season 3, which is kind of funny in hindsight, but at least they're fixing it. Adjustment to move properties that did not align with individual characters' balance intentions. We've made adjustment for areas where the balance between strengths and weaknesses for each character's concept was off, Ram, as well, Goldlewis, as well as aspects characters struggled to show their strength in actual matches. Okay, that too makes a lot of sense. Some characters' strengths and weaknesses were definitely not balanced. We are also making the following adjustments. Adjustments to guard crush chip damage. Man, I can picture LK smiling just from reading this one line. Adjustment to guard crush chip damage. Moves that trigger guard crush make it easy to continue your offense. Oh boy, do they. As well as creating an opponent an opportunity to deal significant damage even when the opponent blocks. We've matched the chip damage from Guard Crush to 25% of the full damage of the move with a few exceptions. The only exception to this move is damage dealt by Kai during Dragon install. That seems fair. Okay, so let's check out the actual characters here. Soul Bad Guy. Soul Bad Guy, Volcanic Viper, Heavy Slash. Decreased damage on second hit of clean hit from 100 to 80. Okay. I mean, I don't think I have to tell anyone how much damage the H version of Volcanic Viper did. Literally was deleting health bars. Okay, that's damage down, Wild Throw. Decreased damage from 130 to 110. Okay, that seems fair with what their intention is. Remember, they don't want characters doing massive, crazy, life-ending damage, so this seems more in line with what they said before. Kai, we've adjusted the following in addition to universal damage changes. Because it was possible to use another charge stun edge after a certain duration of time while the projectile remained on screen during Dragon install, certain strings could keep the opponent locked down for an extended period of time. They're talking about his infinite. That infinite was crazy. In order to address this, it is now impossible to use another stun edge or charge stun edge until the initial charge stun edge disappears. This makes it more challenging for Kai to lock the opponent down for a long time. Okay, so basically, they're trying to get rid of the infinite during a Dragon install, which of course they definitely should. And then Charge Stun Edge also had damage decreased, as well as the HS version of Vapor Thrust. So, okay, so far it looks like they're keeping true to their word this time. So far, I'm just seeing damage down, damage down. Okay, May, Damage Queen. The only adjustments are universal changes related to damage. Standing Heavy Slash, damage decreased. Forward Heavy Slash, damage decreased. Jumping Heavy Slash, damage decreased. Jumping Dust, damage decreased. And Great Yamada Attack, damage decreased. So, all damage nerfs on May. Again, this is what they promised. Seems like they're keeping their word this time. Axel. Okay, a lot of people have been saying Axel is dead character, dirt tier. Let's see what we got here. We've adjusted the following in addition to the universal damage changes. In the prior update, we changed the vacuum effect on rainwater to align with his concept as a long-range character. However, this made it challenging to combo after a hit depending on the distance, meaning the move was hard to use effectively. With these adjustments, we reduced the horizontal blowback to make it easier to follow up combos. So Rainwater blowback adjustment decreased horizontal blowback, increased launch height. That sounds nice. I mean, Axel players will have to let me know, but that sounds like they're trying to meet you in the middle, basically. Like, they're not going to give you the vacuum effect back, but they're going to make it better in combos. So he can still do his combos, but he's not going to have as much pressure as before. Seems like they're like, they're trying to, shake your hand, meet you in the middle. Axel Bomber, decreased damage from 90 to 80. Okay, so I mean, they gave him a little bit of a buff there. So far, one of the only buffs we've seen. Chip, we've adjusted the following in addition to the universal damage changes. We've expanded the upper hitbox of Zansei Roga during the fast left-right movement. This helps address the problem with Zansei Roga missing sometimes during a wall stick. Yeah, Zansei Roga, that's his super, right? Yes. Okay, so they buffed the super to make sure it doesn't miss. Yeah, because, I mean, everybody knows that there's nothing more annoying in this game than having somebody wall stuck doing a super and it doesn't hit them correctly. That is mega cursed. Wall run attack, decreased damage. So all of his wall run stuff got damage decreased. That's in line with the changes. Looks pretty good. They're keeping their word. Oh, man. Here we go, man. I honestly, I'm gonna be like so honest right here. I cannot believe the outcry that this one grappler character caused. Like, it's just insane to me that like when season 4 hit, this character is all anybody was talking about. That's so crazy to me. But let's see what they've got here. We've restored the technique, making it possible to change the movement distance of special moves by canceling the startup of forward K. Sliding special moves, they mean Kara. I don't know why they don't want to say Kara. They call it a sliding special move. Just say Kara. In line with both this and overall adjustments, we've reduced his overall damage. We intend to make him a character who can be fun if you cannot utilize this technique, with a deeper layer strategy available to those dedicated enough to master it. About the sliding special moves. The movement method upon a successful sliding special move has been changed, with the movement amount adjusted for each move. Due to the input commands, some special moves are also more difficult to perform as Kara's. Okay, so basically they gave the Kara back, but it's a little bit harder, and like not everything's gonna Kara the same distance, if I'm reading that correctly. Potbuster has the same throw range and ability to withstand attacks from the opponent, but with decreased damage. The throw range when performed with a Kara remains nearly the same as before. Okay, so if you don't do the Kara, he still has the armor and the expanded range, but you can also Kara it if you want. And it's the same as the expanded range? Wow, okay. That's interesting. So basically, you can Kara, but there's no point. Basically, which is kind of like what I was saying. Like, people were so mad about this. And my point was that they made it so you don't have to Kara. And now you can Kara, but there's literally no point, if I'm reading this correctly. Okay. And overall, the damage of Potbuster is lower because the Kara's back, so it's just going to be a weaker throw overall. The damage and recovery for Mega Fist remains unchanged when performed with sliding input, with only the movement distance changing. Due to the command needed to perform sliding input FBD no longer activates with the forward input, we've also added a frontal hurt box, as it is an incredibly powerful poke that can be performed while moving forward. Okay, so basically they gave him his Kara back, and they made adjustments around the move so that the Kara can work. Potbuster now does 175 damage instead of 200. Heat Knuckle now does less damage as well. FBD no longer activates when there is a forward input, and they put a bigger hurt box on it. Well, I mean, we'll see. Hopefully the pot players are happy. Apparently there's more pot players than any other kind of player on the game. Like, we'll see if he's the only thing talked about in this patch. The only adjustments are universal changes for Faust. So decreased damage all around, and then a bunch of issue fixes. Yeah, this many issues? Fix an issue with causing visual errors on the banana, fix an issue with collisions, fix an issue with mini Faust. Dang, yeah, this many issues? Well, I mean, Faust seems like he's about the same. I think people are pretty happy with Faust though, so that kind of makes sense. Millia, we've adjusted the following in addition to the universal changes. While the previous update increased her defensive capabilities, she remained less durable than intended due to the impact of the additional damage for other characters. With these changes, we've increased her defense again with the goal of increasing the number of interactions. Wow, so Millia got even more health? Whoa, that's gotta be a record. Whoa, double health increase? Man, that's really big. We've reduced the recovery of Capel. While the main goal with this change is to address the difficulty of following up after a grounded hit, this also gives her more options mid-air. Wow, so they buffed Capel? Reduced recovery? Sheesh. The more defense value from 1.14 to 1.09 damage taken. Wow, so she's only taking 0.09 extra damage now? Sheesh. Man, okay, that's a lot more health. Jumping Dust damage decreased, Savior damage decreased, Artemis damage decreased, but Capel reduced recovery. Wow, okay. Millia players, let me know what you think, but it sounds to me like she's definitely coming out of this improved. Oh man, Public Enemy #1 coming through. This is the character that upset everyone. This character had everybody saying the game was basically dead. Nobody was happy with what she was doing. Let's see what they did about it. We've adjusted the following in addition to the universal damage changes. Our intent in the previous update, yeah, please explain what your intent was, because I don't understand what you were doing. So definitely please explain it to me. Our intent was to make her weaker without swords. However, it was simple for her to stall time until she could recover her swords, resulting in a lack of contrast and strength depending on the presence of her swords. Yeah, I mean, they nailed it right there. The goal was to make her weaker without swords, but it's like, brother, when is she not gonna have swords? Like, when she threw her swords at you, you were locked until she picked them back up. There wasn't a time where she didn't have swords. Like, it was insane. We've increased the duration of time before she can recover her swords to make this a clear weak point. We've also made adjustments to moves that were overly powerful even without swords. Sounded pretty good to me. Daruo has longer startup. It can no longer combo into moves like Crouching K. Okay, that sounds fair. This also makes it more challenging to hit confirm off of standing far slash. That sounds pretty good. We've increased the repeated usage duration for Iralimo, making it more difficult to use multiple times in a combo. I'm assuming that's the Rekka. The guard crush duration of the powered up version of the third hit is now shorter, meaning Ram gives up her turn on offense when it is blocked. Again, sounds pretty good. We've increased the duration of time until she can recover her sword after Bajonito, making it challenging to perform strings to lock the opponent down while waiting for the swords to return. Sounds good to me. The sword now moves faster. I think you mean moves faster once they can be recovered, with a wider range for recovery. This makes it smoother to recover swords. Okay, so to translate all that, it's gonna take a while, supposedly. It's gonna take a while for her to get her swords back, but when the swords start floating towards her, they're gonna float towards her fast, and the pickup range is gonna be wider, so she can grab them quickly. I mean, that sounds fair on paper. That sounds fair. So this should fix most of the problem. It sounds like they touched up the Rekka, they touched up Daruo, and her without swords is going to be a clear weakness now. Like, Ram with swords is a beast. Ram without swords, not so much. I mean, that sounds like the way it should be, personally. And swords, decreased damage multiplier with swords equipped from 1.5 to 1.4. So even with swords, she does less damage. And Bajonito, all versions, increased duration until the sword can be equipped, increased movement speed after the sword is able to be re-equipped, expanded range in which sword can be equipped, decreased damage of sword attack from 50 to 40. Bajonito S, blowback adjustment removed, wall bounce effect. Whoa, okay. Whoa, okay, that's pretty big. No more wall bounce off of that? Really? Okay, that's pretty big. Daruo increased startup. That's big. That move started up so insanely fast. Rekka first hit increased the impact of gravity from repeated move usage. Third hit decreased guard crush of the powered up version. So it's going to be your turn. And Calvados decreased damage. So, okay, all of this together, all together now, this sounds like a much more fair character. It doesn't sound like she's as insanely busted as she currently is. We'll have to see when the patch actually hits in a few days, but to me, on paper, this sounds pretty good. Leo. This was another character that people weren't too sure about. What did they do? The HS version of Einstrom causes less horizontal blown back. This helps avoid situations where Zoetes would not cross up to the other side of the opponent when used for Okizeme. Zoetes is less affected by combo blowback proration. When Zoetes hits during a combo, it creates less distance with the opponent, now making it easier to go for Oki. So basically, they've adjusted the hit reaction on some of his moves so that it doesn't mess up his combos and it doesn't mess up his Oki. Okay, that makes sense. Also, he's got a lot of damage down because this is the damage down patch, thank goodness. So, I mean, yeah, sounds like some straight up buffs for Leo. Hopefully his combos and his Oki are better because, I mean, that's the whole point of the character, right? Get a combo, set up Oki, try to get another combo, set up Oki again. If he can't do that, he really can't function. Nago. Okay, this was another character that was kind of going crazy. People were like, I thought you nerfed this guy. That's what they always say about Nago. It's like, I thought you nerfed this guy. So for the initial part of 6K, momentum now remains only when canceling into a special move or an overdrive. After the prior update, a technique using faultless defense during the startup of 6K made it possible to move more quickly. However, this technique has been removed as it now behaves the same way as Soul's 6S and Potemkin's 6K. Also, the momentum when canceling after it hits maintains the same behavior as before. So basically, they normalized his Kara. So his Kara is now going to be the same as everybody else. Blood Rage now causes less blowback when blocked mid-air, making it easier to punish. Okay, because that was ridiculous, bro. Like, I don't even know, like, what were they thinking? Or, like, was that an accident? When you would block Blood Rage in the air, it literally sent you into space. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, you could make the argument that you should be paying attention and you shouldn't be in the air when Blood Rage happens, but still, I mean, sometimes it's gonna happen. And the fact that it sent you to the moon just looks so goofy. Standing heavy slash, crouching heavy slash, forward heavy slash are heavily impacted by universal change to chip damage during guard crush, so the damage output on hit remains unchanged. Oh, okay. Oh, so wow. So they were talking about Nago. Nago is one of the main characters they're talking about. Heavily impacted by the universal change to chip damage. Oh, okay, wow. So Nago's doing way less chip. Whoa, okay, that's okay. I mean, fair. Giovanna. Trial Vowel causes less knockback on block when used after Chave. This change is intended to alleviate the issue where performing an S afterwards would result in close standing S or far standing S, depending on whether or not the opponent used faultless defense. This makes it possible to get close standing S regardless of the opponent's faultless defense if you can make the opponent block. Wow, so okay. I mean, that just sounds really, really good on paper. So basically, if you do this, now you know you're getting close slash. You don't have to worry about, oh, did they FD me? Am I screwed? Like, you're gonna get close slash every time? That's really, really, really good. Holy cow, that's really good. Anji. I mean, Anji got mega buffed, so I doubt they're gonna do anything to him. Only adjustments are universal changes. Yeah, jumping D, less damage. Ko, less damage. Okay, makes sense. Ino, yeah, Ino's in a very good place, so universal changes only, less damage, less damage, less damage. Just less damage across the board. No reason to do anything to Ino. She's in a really good spot, so this makes perfect sense. I mean, carry on. Okay, now here we go again. We got another public enemy on our hands. The Dickinson. All right, let's see. Please tell me they shot this man. This man is a literal war criminal. Okay, what is he doing? We've extended the duration of cooldown time when following up Behemoth Typhoon with another Behemoth Typhoon. As the security level replenished too quickly, boy did it. We've also increased the base damage duration for Behemoth Typhoon, given the improvements to his combos and strings made with the addition to the follow-up potential. This change does not affect the overhead version of Behemoth Typhoon, which already had heavy base damage proration. It does, however, decrease the damage dealt when combos start with other versions of Behemoth Typhoon. Okay, so Behemoth Typhoon now does generally less damage, as it should. Behemoth Typhoon is majorly impacted by a universal change to Guard Crush chip damage. Given the adjustment to base damage proration, we have not changed the damage on hit. Okay, so Behemoth Typhoon on block is going to do a lot less damage, which is good. And then Behemoth Typhoon in combos is going to do a lot less damage. But if I'm reading this correctly, Behemoth Typhoon, like on normal hit, is going to be the same damage, but it's going to have a lot higher damage proration. So like when it hits you, if another one hits you, that one's going to do less damage, and so on and so forth, to try to keep his damage level in check. But since Behemoth is going to do way less damage on block, they don't want it to do no damage on hit. So that seems pretty fair. We made changes to Skyfish to make it a viable method for using security level, however, ended up being too powerful as a far range poke, so we have increased the recovery. This decreases Goldlewis' advantage on block and also makes it more challenging to go into Oki on hit. Yeah, Skyfish became really insane after the patch. Like, I'm talking crazy. Forward heavy slash, decreased damage, Behemoth Typhoon, all that stuff we read before. And then the half circle version, blowback adjustment, latter half of active frames, removed wall bounce effect. Whoa. So the half circle back version no longer wall bounces. Sheesh. So him and Ram don't wall bounce you anymore. That's insane. And then Skyfish, increased recovery. Okay, sounds fair. Definitely sounds fair. Like, we'll have to see when the patch actually hits, but on paper, this all sounds really good. Jack O, this was another character people were not happy with the changes at all. A lot of people were saying she was completely dead and buried. Let's see what they did. The change to blowback on sweep in the prior update was intended to reduce the reward of hitting without servants. However, this resulted in reducing her options for strings utilizing the servants as well. That's true. Like, what they did to her sweep really killed her combo game, like heavily, even if servants were out. These adjustments return the blowback from sweep on standard hit back to its original value, making it possible to perform Oki or land other attacks after knocking the opponent down. However, the blowback on counter hit remains unchanged, which still limits the reward when servants are not present. Okay, so like with other characters, they're trying to meet you in the middle. If the sweep counter hits you, the opponent's gonna fly away, not giving you the same setups as before. But if you hit on normal hit, like if you do like a 2K, 2D, you get all her old setups back, which I think is really fair. So if a sweep hits clean, or you 2K, 2D, she's regular old Jacko. But if it's counter hit, it's not gonna be as much of a return on investment, which I do think is fair because they're trying to make her a little weaker when servants aren't out, and I think that makes sense on paper. Baiken, the only adjustment is forward heavy slash, decreased damage. Okay, so Testament, what do they got for Testament? Due to the short duration of the stain state, it would often end before Testament could set up advantageous situations and approach the opponent. These adjustments extend the duration of stain, making it possible to keep the opponent under pressure longer. Wow. Dang. So with all this, Testament got buffed again? Sheesh. Stain, increased active duration. Wow. So you're going to be stained for even longer? That's scary. We've removed the frontal hurt box on all of her grounded versions of Grave Reaper. This makes Grave Reaper easier to use while in range of opponent's pokes, making it easier to apply stain state. Whoa. Wow. Collision adjustment removed frontal hurt box. Bro. These are some massive buffs. Wow. So when Testament is doing Grave Reaper, you can't swing. It's just like a, whoa. That's kind of like that Ryu buff that he recently got in Street Fighter 6 where they like remove the hurt box on his hands when he's doing a Hadouken. Sheesh, okay, wow. Wasn't expecting that. Big Testament buffs out of nowhere, wow. Testament buff jump scare. Sin, universal changes only, decreased damage on Hawkbreaker follow-up, Tyrant Barrel, decreased damage. Makes sense? Johnny. Oh my goodness, Johnny. Here. Only universal changes somehow. Somehow he continues to get away with it. He can't keep getting away with it, but he can. And Senga damage reduced from 80 to 60. That's it. Sheesh. Well, he's still gonna be a menace. Elphelt. Man, I feel like a lot of people have gotten on the Elphelt hate train. People are not happy with fighting against this character at all. Let's see what they did. In the prior update, we made changes to her bomb super, hoping to make it easier to use. However, it took too long for the explosion to trigger, thus keeping the opponent's movements constrained for an extended period of time with little countermeasure available. You mean no countermeasure available, because not only did you have the bomb on you for 2 years, but if you hit her, it didn't go away. You still blow up. It really felt like a checkmate. These adjustments decrease the duration before the explosion, making it easier for the opponent to handle. On the other hand, the quicker time of the explosion makes it easier for Elphelt to put together mix-up strings. Basically a bunch of like little changes to the bomb, but ultimately it's not gonna hold you hostage for as long. And I'm guessing if you hit her, it still is not gonna disappear, so you're still gonna have to be careful. A.B.A, just damage changes, decreased damage on judgment from 90 to 70. And the law is key. Damage, decreased damage of the final hit corresponding with the remaining jealousy gauge. Okay, so damage reductions for A.B.A. And then Slayer. Slayer is still doing insane damage. Only adjustment is universal. Pile Bunker, decreased damage from 90 to 80. So Pile Bunker does a little bit less damage. And then last but not least, Queen Dizzy. We've changed for roasting chestnuts to decrease its potential to lock the opponent down. Thank you, Jesus. That move was so toxic, bro, as the close distance on block made it easy to loop, way too easy. The first hit is now a strike hit, meaning it creates distance with the opponent when blocked in the corner. When blocked outside the corner, a standard block does not create much distance, with faultless defense creating more. The change to collision on the final hit makes it connect sooner, meaning there's genuinely less advantage for Dizzy. In exchange, it is more viable in neutral and offers more reward on hit. It can now neutralize other projectiles partway through the attack, making it possible to perform after the opponent uses the projectile, with it serving both as a poke and to erase projectiles. That's really cool. So if you see a projectile coming at you, you can throw that up to erase it and then have the homing fireball go to them. That's really cool. I actually like that a lot more than just doing, you know, fire spike, fire spike, fire spike, fire spike, fire spike. That was just like, that's one of those things where it's like, it's ugly to see. It's ugly to be on the other end on, and it's not fun to do. You're just doing, you know, fire spike, fire spike, fire spike. Like, I like this a lot better. The opponent can no longer tech after getting hit with the projectile part of the attack, creating opportunity for Dizzy to set up advantageous situations on hit. Whoa, so if it hits you, it creates a hard knockdown, basically? Wow. So Frozen State fixed an issue, Ice Field fixed an issue, and then Fire Missile changed the first hit to a strike. In line with this change, the properties of the first hit now follow the rules of strike hits, so it's gonna push her away from you in the corner. Blowback adjustment, the opponent will no longer tech upon getting hit with the projectile part. That's pretty cool, so she can actually get her set play going. And collision adjustment expanded the hitbox on the first hit, added projectile clash collision area by the hands, added frontal hitbox for the last hit. Okay, so Fire Spike, like I said, is now a anti-projectile move. It still has a little bit of frame advantage, but it sounds like it's not as plus as before, and it's going to push her away from you in the corner. So yeah, I like these changes. It's going to make Dizzy a little bit more closer to what she used to be, and it seems like it's going to make her neutral a lot more interesting. And there you go. That is all the changes for this upcoming mini balance patch. Personally, I think it sounds pretty good. This sounds a lot more like what they promised us when Season 4 was coming out. Just a lot less damage across the board. So with all these characters that you see on the screen doing less damage, and chip damage being lessened, guard break damage being lessened, just all around less damage, and most of the obnoxious moves being toned down. It does seem like on paper this time, for real, all jokes aside, there should be more interactions per match, and matches should last a little bit longer, which would just make the game more healthy. Fingers crossed that this time that turns out to be the case. I'm hopeful. This looks pretty good. My man Asuka was nowhere to be found on this, but I mean, I guess you can take that as he didn't get nerfed. He didn't receive any nerfs, so I mean, that's good. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. What do you think about this? Like, do you think these changes sound good? You know, if you're a character who got nerfed and got some buffs, like, are you happy with the changes? Is this gonna bring you back? I know a lot of people said they quit when season 4 came out. Is this gonna bring you back to the game? Be sure to let me know. To me, like I said, to me it sounds pretty good. But that's gonna do it for this one. Thanks so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this. It does help out the channel a lot. Subscribe for more fighting game content from me. And as always, you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.